Hey guys, it's Wifitoaster, and today I just want to talk a little bit about um, BloodBorne. I just beat the game not too long ago, and I just want to talk about some like the new PvE mechanics and what I thought about the game and what I'm gonna think or what I'm thinking about how PvP is gonna go and that kind of stuff. So I figure I'll just start with things in kind of chronological order. Um, but, this commentary is going to be a little bit rambly, so there isn't too much structure to it, so I hope you guys don't mind. But anyway, getting into it, I'm just going to start from the beginning. At the beginning of this game, you start off from the beginning. You go through a little tiny cutscene and straight into character creation. This is really good. This was a lot better than what they did in Dark Souls 2, where you got control of your character, then went into another cutscene, and then did character creation after that. And this is really just from like a role-playing perspective. It didn't really matter to me that much in Dark Souls 2 that they did it the way they did, but I could see for someone who wants to role-play a character in Dark Souls 2, you started off and your character is clearly male, but then if you wanted to be a female, you couldn't really do that. It just didn't really make too much sense starting off the game. So I think it's much better that they just bring you straight into character creation. You have your character, you can make it, and you get to choose what you want it to be. It's really cool. The character creator itself is much more in-depth than in the previous Souls games. You control your pretty much everything about your character. It's a really in-depth character creator. I would almost say it's probably on par, if not better than a lot of the other character creators I've seen. Like, I'm just thinking like Elder Scrolls kind of games character creation. It's like on that level, if not better. But it has the bonus of you get sweet pimp glasses, and of course, I really like those sorts of, kind of silly touches to a game, because really, it's like a lot of self-awareness goes into a game when you see that kind of stuff. So I really like it. I like that kind of stuff in games. Even if it's a really serious game, I like that kind of stuff. So character creators is much better. After you get out of after you get out of the character creator, you go straight into, well, you don't go straight into, but you do a few things and you end up in the new hub world. So that's pretty cool. It's a much more minimalistic hub world than its Demon Souls predecessor in the Nexus. Not as cool as the Nexus, but it's really simple. It's really compact. You basically have everything that you need right where you want it, right there. So that's really cool. And then, so once you get into the character creator, you get to choose one of 3 weapons, and it doesn't matter what class you end up picking. These weapons are always going to be the same 3 weapons, from my understanding. So you get a choice of sort of like a balanced weapon, a strength weapon, and a skill or dex-based weapon. Skill is basically dex in this game. So it's, it kind of sucks that your class doesn't really have any bearing on your starting weapon choice, but and overall in this game there are a lot less weapons. That being said, all of the weapons have about twice as many different move sets as in previous games. So yeah, and when you really think about it, like in previous Souls games, the rapier and like the Espa Repara or whatever had the same move set pretty much. They just had different looks. So, I mean, were they really that different of weapons? I guess not really. So, if you look at it that way, there really aren't that many less weapons of Bloodborne than in other Souls games. And each weapon is definitely unique and definitely has its own interesting moveset. So, that's one good thing to be said about it, even though there's less weapons. So, you get a choice of one of those kind of 3 weapons, and then you get a choice of either a pistol or a blunderbuss, depending on your style of play. The blunderbuss is kind of like, I don't know, it's more powerful, and then the pistol, which is what I pick, is faster. So and then you go straight into the game. So just talking about a few of the mechanics. You have, like I said, you had a pistol and a blunderbuss. Your pistol or whatever is basically your parrying weapon. If an enemy attacks you and you shoot them at the right time, they will get staggered, and then you can do what's called a visceral attack, which is a riposte. And you don't have to wait for the enemy to fall on the ground before you do it this time. You just get straight into it, and that's much better than Dark Souls 2. And I am comparing this game a lot to Dark Souls 2, but in reality, you can really feel this game is much more similar to Dark Souls 1. I mean, just from button choices and things like that, you can definitely feel like this game was more like Dark Souls 1 than Dark Souls 2 was in some sense, which is kind of interesting. But if you play the game, you'll sort of understand what I mean. If you play Dark Souls 1, you'll sort of understand. Just one example is like in Dark Souls 2, and I think this was an improvement in Dark Souls 2, but in Dark Souls 2, the way you jumped is you ran and then pressed the left stick, and that would make you jump. And I think that was actually an improvement in controls, but in this game, it's you run and then you press the run button again to jump. So I thought that was actually an improvement in Dark Souls 2, which is I'm surprised that they didn't bring it into BloodBorne. I thought it was an improvement of the controls, but that's a side tangent. Anyway, going back to pistols, yeah, so you shoot the guy, he gets staggered, you can do a visceral attack. This makes a lot more sense, I think, overall than parrying in the previous games. Didn't really make much sense that you could parry a big giant sword, and it just makes a lot more sense that you kind of just like make them off balance by shooting them in the face. So it makes much more sense. Other mechanics, you can transform weapons. Really, really cool. Now I'm like obsessed with transforming my weapon. I press like the transform button as I'm running around places. It's just so fun to do. I can't stop it. It's so addicting. And you can just transform your weapons back and forth to different movesets and everything. And the weapon basically changes entirely, and it's really, really cool. Other cool things about the game that I like the summoning system much more. It's basically ring a beckoning bell. You can run around, do all the stuff. Someone else who's trying to help will ring another bell, and then you two can connect. And you don't need to like pick up a sign or anything like that. It just you two just connect, and it's you can run around, do whatever you want in the meantime while you're waiting for someone to join you. And also what's really cool is that you don't have to look for multiple summoning signs if you want to summon more than one person. If you want an additional person, then the beckoning bell is already looking for another person. So if you want, two people to join you, it's already looking for another person. So that's really, really cool. What else did I like about this game? I can't think of too many other... Oh, yes. I haven't really talked about the enemy design or anything, but, not every enemy is like a humanoid enemy anymore. It's a lot of beast creatures, a lot of really unexpected creatures. The enemies are crazy in their different designs. Like, it's really amazing how cool some of the characters are, some of the enemies, and, the boss fights in this game are spectacular. I think every single boss fight in this game was better than every other boss fight in Dark Souls 2, by far, except for maybe one. There was one boss fight I didn't like, and that was literally there's only one boss fight that I didn't like in this game. And I don't want to spoil that boss fight or anything. I'm trying to avoid big spoilers, but at the same time, there are going to be some spoilers. This is sort of like a thoughts video after the whole thing's done, but whatever. So, yeah, that's all I could think about BloodBorne that I thought was really cool about it. I still have only played through the game one time, so no spoilerinos on the ending, because I want to figure out what the other ending is. If there is another ending, I don't even really know if there's 2 endings. What else? I kind of also want to talk a little bit about going into PvP. I've only done 1 invasion, and I don't really count that because I invaded, and I ran around and then the enemies killed the host, so that doesn't really count, I guess. So, not really counting that at all. Other PvP things. Oh, also, one thing I really like about the PvP is that at the beginning of the game, you can only really get invaded if you try to summon someone into your world. That causes a bell beckoner, I guess they're called, to come into your world, and then people can invade you. So if you're trying to summon someone can invade you then, but otherwise you can't get invaded. But the later stages of the game, there are already bell beckoners in certain areas, so later in the game you can get invaded, but at the beginning of the game you can't really get invaded too much, so without summoning someone. So this is kind of like, I believe they have soul level matchmaking, but this is a way to prevent griefing, because you can't really invade those people unless they have someone summoned in their world, and it's really hard to grief if they have someone summoned in your world. So it actually works out. I think it's a much better solution to the griefing problem than Dark Souls 2 had, which was soul memory, and we all know how soul memory really worked out. Nobody really liked that too much. But yeah, that's about invading, and I really like that about invading. One last thing I want to talk about was, we're talking about now soul level metas. What should the meta be, that kind of stuff. After having played through the game, I ended the game at around the level 60 and beat the final boss at around level 60. Oro just released a video the other day talking about how the meta should be SL 100, and I think that it might even be that it should be lower than 100. That's just because in this game you have so few stats. You have essentially 4 offensive stats. 1 doesn't really seem to matter too much, from what I can tell, which is Blood Tinge. Only some weapons seem to really take advantage of that stat. And then you have Strength, Skill, and Arcana, which is the magic in this game. I can confirm that there is magic, and it's actually a really cool magic system. Essentially, your magic will use up your Quicksilver bullets, which are used for parrying as well. So it's kind of like a mana system, and it's really minimalistic. It's really, really cool. I haven't really seen another game with a system like it. That's probably something I should have mentioned in the PvE section, but whatever. Talking about the soul level meta, yeah, I think on some level it should potentially be less than soul level 100. It really depends on how much damage on average you do to your opponent, how many hits they can take, because you want to determine what's a good level for your HP to be if you're fighting in PvP. And then from there, I think if you determine a good level for your health, and a good level for your stamina, which is around 20-23, because at 20-23 you can do all the stamina stuff that you want, or endurance or whatever. So that's about right for stamina, endurance. And then I think you want a good level for your health, and then you want 1 stat that's at the soft cap, which I think is either 30 or 40. I can't remember for this game if it's 30 or 40. So you want 1 stat at the soft cap, and then you want 1 skill that's sort of like halfway to the soft cap, and then that way you can make a build that's really good and has reached the soft cap at 2 on 2 skills, but has less health. And then you can have, builds that are really good at 1, hybrids, and then hybrids evolve between, and that way that's the most number of builds that can be in any meta. So it's sort of like we really need to determine what's the good health point for our characters, and once we determine that, we can decide whether or not level 100 is really good. And I think we should all remember that the game only came out 4 days ago, so I think we should definitely take a week or so doing PvP, figure out what's a good health level, and then make a determination on what the soul level meta should be, just so that it's not too restrictive and it's pretty fair, and that way we can also all connect. And there should definitely be a meta because, you know, we can connect via soul level now. So definitely makes sense to have a meta soul level. But anyway, that's my thoughts on soul level. I don't know if it should be 100 or it should be slightly lower than that. I definitely don't think it should be higher, because there's so few stats in this game, and some stats don't even need that much investment. So anyway, that was really rambly. I'm really sorry if that was too rambly for you guys, but those are just my thoughts, just things I came up with the top of my head. And I'm doing a second playthrough to get that other ending and basically get all the stuff that I missed, because I did miss a lot of stuff, because my first playthrough of the game, I always go really, really quick through the game because I get really into it. I'm like, I want to get through the rest of the story and beat the next boss and all that good stuff. And my second playthrough is much more chill. So, and I'm thinking about streaming that second playthrough, so maybe I'll even be streaming it after I upload this video, I'm not sure. So I'll leave a link to my Twitch channel in case I am. But that's all I can really think about it for now. No spoilers in the comments or anything like that, even though I've already beaten the game one time. There's still a lot of stuff that I missed that I'd like to just see for myself. So if you can avoid spoilers, that would be great. Anyway, thanks for watching this brambly ass shit video. Hopefully you guys don't mind it too much. There's definitely going to be more commentaries on this channel because I think it's a really good time to do that for me. And, you know, I'm part of the BloodBorne train as it's starting out, so it's really awesome to sort of have commentaries right at the beginning of it. It's kind of awesome. So, anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.